All right, we're gonna have Julia come in and tell us a little bit about the green screen, what this is.
All right. Well, you guys have probably figured it out by now, right? Do you guys have any questions on the green screen? No? No? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you stuff anyway, whether you want to hear it or not. Okay, so the green screen, as Tiare said, one of the more important things is, as you'll notice, if I'm standing closer to the screen, if you look in the monitor, you see all the little residue stuff going on. And if I move further away, it goes away. The reason for that is because one of the most important things when you're doing green screen is you want to make sure that it's lit properly. So you're going to notice anytime there's a green screen set up, there's going to be probably lots of lights. In this case, we have 2 lights specifically. Actually, not really that one. It's more this one. But usually you'd have a couple of lights designated just to the screen, and you want to light them separately. So you want to light your screen and the person standing in front of the screen a little bit differently so that there's more contrast in the video when you look at them on the monitor. You can see like the clear outline, because as clear as the green is, that's about as clear as your key is going to be. So if it's muddy looking, you're going to have a lot of that weird artifacting going on like this. You also don't have to do live green screen. Like right now we're doing live green screen, so everything I'm seeing on the monitor. You can also tape it where you're just standing in front of the green screen and you use your imagination to fill in the rest, and then in post-production, that's where you do some magic stuff. That's my preferred method, because if you do it that way, you can get some really good looking stuff, like really good looking, like movie good looking, where people are looking at it going, oh my God, you shot that at a public access studio? It's amazing the stuff you can do here. And we do actually have all the computers and software necessary in order to do that kind of stuff. When you're lighting a subject, you have what's called 3-point lighting. This is kind of a weird example because it's green screen, but if you're doing a normal lighting situation, you guys have all been to like Burger King, right? At one point or another. McDonald's? No? Never? Or you've been to a place where there was pictures on the menu, at least, yeah? Right. You know how like those burgers look way better in the picture than they ever, you get it on your plate and you're like, that's not the same burger, hang on. And that's the trick with lighting. That's the magic of lighting. Lighting can do amazing things. And usually you want to light, especially people, really, really well. Because one thing that I've learned is that if people don't look good in your production, they won't want to watch it. They won't tell their friends to watch it. Even if it's a really good production, if they don't look good, that's all that matters. It's like, oh, let me see that picture of everybody. Oh, I look terrible. That's a horrible picture, you know? And that's how people are. So you always want to make sure you do good lighting. And 3-point lighting, what it is, it starts with a key light. There's 3 types. There's a key, a fill, and a backlight. And the key light is like your main light. So like if I was standing here, one of these 2, actually probably that one would be my key light. Don't ever look right at them, by the way. Now I see dots everywhere. The key light is your main light, and it hits you basically mostly straight on, but not completely, kind of at an angle, which leaves this side to be lit with a fill light. So if you don't have a fill light, what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of contrast. It's going to be kind of dark and shadowy on one side. So you do a main light this side, and then you do like a 75% light on the other side. A lot of times if you're outdoors, the sun is your key light. That's just a big key light. But what happens in the sun is you get really contrasty stuff. You know, you're really bright on one side, a lot of shadow on the other. So they bring out in the field what's called a reflector, which is just a big weird thing that looks like a big piece of aluminum foil, and some poor person has to stand there holding it and getting it just right. And so the point of that is to make the light bounce back to serve as a fill light. And the final kind of light that you have, which I don't really have on me, I would if I was standing right here, is the backlight. And the backlight is supposed to hit you kind of right in the back of the head so that it makes you like glow. Now, how many of you guys have had that experience where you go up to the top of a mountain and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best view I've ever seen in my life. I must take a picture. And you take a picture and it doesn't look nearly as awesome, right? Everybody's had that experience, pretty much? Okay. This is because we take for granted the fact that we're human beings, and therefore we're seeing everything all the time from 2 separate perspectives, which gives us a sense of depth that the camera doesn't have. So when you're filming through a camera, it's as if you're walking around like this all the time. Everything looks flat, everything looks 2-dimensional. So you have to give sense of depth with other stuff. One of those things is lighting. The backlight's crucial to giving a sense of depth to a shot. You also see other things like, you guys all know what a zoom is on a camera? You can zoom in, zoom out. Zoom doesn't really do much other than just enlarge the image. In real movies, you hardly ever see zooms. What you see more often is what's called a dolly, where they take the entire camera, move it in like this, and move it out. Also trucking shots. And when you do camera for a living, you get real good at being light on your toes. You can do weird little tiptoe maneuvers and crouches and stuff. You get very ninja when you do camera. It's also... I'm glad that's funny. I have strong legs. So anyway, it's important to establish depth through movement in shots. It gives you a sense of 3 dimensions when normally if you're looking at a shot, if shot's not moving much, it's just going to look very flat and lifeless. Yep, that's pretty much it. And you want to make sure you have microphones on. That's one thing that everybody always kind of like overlooks too, is like, oh yeah, audio, that'll just happen naturally. You know, and a lot of times they don't put any thought into it, record a whole show, and then they're like, we didn't have a microphone plugged in. I wasn't listening to the audio, were you? So you always want to make sure that you're listening to the audio. I noticed you guys were in the control room with the headsets. That's very good. You always want to listen, because you never know if your production sounds good unless you're hearing it. If you were listening on headphones to this microphone and me holding this microphone, if I was holding it like this and then I went like this, you just hear this noticeable dropout in the sound. Like, it has to be pointed at whoever's speaking. Your production's not going to be good unless it sounds good, because that's kind of the difference. Actually, that more than good video, good sound is very, very, very important. My example for that is like pretty much any TV show you watched. You know, like you guys watch TV at all? No? Ever?
No.
Good for you guys. Good to make TV, not so good to watch it unless you know what you're watching. There's a lot of junk on television right now. But there's a lot of reality shows on TV. They're really, really popular. You'll notice the camera movements are all very shaky, like, man, what's going on? I don't know. And they're acting as if the camera is their own eye. So it's kind of like jerking around like this, and the person watching is kind of like, you know, not very pleasant, but it's a very big style right now. You'll notice that the video might look junk, but the audio is always nice and clean. So people will watch it. But if the audio came from the onboard mic on the camera, you guys have all heard that, right? Videos with bad audio, everything sounds kind of tinny and too quiet, you can barely hear it. It's frustrating. Nobody ever wants to watch those videos. So as long as you have good sound, you're pretty much good. That's my spiel. That's it. That's what I got.
Awesome. Fun in the studio.